Hello and welcome to our UK Update webinar. I'm Liz Jones, Managing Director of People to People UK, and I'll be hosting today's session. I'm thrilled you're all here with us. Today I'm joined by three fantastic People to People UK team members, Hannah Scanlan, who is a UK manager, Maddy Laing and Aalia Sipos, both consultants here in London. Together we're going to be sharing some insights of the most pressing topics in the UK market right now. So specifically, we're going to dive into four key topics today. Number one, remote work. Is it still right or has it become a privilege? Number two is the potential UK crisis, the talent crisis in 2025 that we might be facing. Number three, the impact of AI in reshaping employment. And number four, the brain drain phenomenon in the workforce. So our aim today is to provide you with some actionable insights to help both employers and job seekers navigate the anticipated changes in the UK job market over the next few years. So let's get started. Our first topic is one that's been top of mind since the pandemic, working from home. So we all know that COVID-19 dramatically shifted the way that we work, with many employees moving to remote work. Interestingly, according to the Office for National Statistics, about 41% of people are still working from home, either exclusively or in a hybrid arrangement. That's up 35% from pre-pandemic levels. So, Hannah, I'd love to get your perspective on this. How has this growing emphasis on work from home and flexibility impacted how employers hire talent and how job seekers approach their job search?
Yeah, thanks, Liz. So the shift toward work from home flexibility has really transformed the landscape. So for employers, we're seeing that companies increasingly offer remote or hybrid options to attract top talent, especially for the roles that can be handled remotely. This has allowed companies to broaden their talent pool beyond local candidates to include talent across the UK and even globally. There's also a bigger focus on outcome-based performance, and it's no longer about hours in the office. It's about the results that employees are delivering, which has led to, I guess, more adaptable management styles. And then on the job seeker side, flexibility has become for candidates. So many now list remote working as a deal breaker, sometimes even prioritising it over salary. We've also noticed that employees willing to stay in less flexible roles are increasingly exploring new opportunities that offer that hybrid or fully remote sort of working arrangements.
Absolutely, Hannah. I guess flexibility has become essential. I think it's here to stay. But what about the flip side? So what are the main concerns employers have about remote work? And in 2024, do you think the concerns still hold true?
Yeah, good question. So employers' concerns about remote working typically focus on a few different areas. So firstly, they worry about the team cohesion and erosion of company culture. And it's true that in-person interactions help with, that spontaneous brainstorming and relationship building, especially in creative environments. But many organizations have adapted to using tools like video conferencing, Slack, Microsoft Teams. So with the right tech, that concern is kind of less relevant now. But there is also productivity and accountability. So employers wonder if remote workers can stay focused outside the office. However, studies consistently show, and the data always backs it up, that remote workers can be just as productive and sometimes more so, especially when they have the right tools and that supportive work environment. Other concerns can be security or data privacy. And that is honestly a challenge in remote working. But many companies now have a really sort of robust cybersecurity protocol, which really helps mitigate that risk. And I'd say lastly, isolation and well-being, because they are valid concerns about hybrid working. Mental health initiatives and today's ability to socialise outside the home is becoming more manageable.
Yeah, that's reassuring. What do you think the risks are if companies start to push people back into the office full time?
Yeah, it's quite a relevant topic at the moment, because this is happening with quite a few big prominent companies. I guess requiring that full-time office work can definitely lead to some negative outcomes, especially with employees who value that flexibility. They might feel disregarded, which affects their job satisfaction and retention. And we've seen really top talent go to competitors who still offered that remote or hybrid work options, which risks significant talent drain for these companies unwilling to adopt this new way of working. There's also work-life balance. So for people who have long commutes or caregiving responsibilities, or even working parents, full-time office work can be a massive stress and potentially lead to that burnout. And finally, some employees may simply just be more productive at home. I think some companies need to just accept the fact that some people, they work better when they are at home. So a forced return to the office will reduce their productivity if their home environment is better suited than a focused, sort of busy office.
Fantastic insights, Hannah. It's an exciting and evolving space, and it sounds like flexibility will become even more of a fixture in the workplace by 2025.
Yeah, by 2025, we're more likely to see, more tailored hybrid work models. Employees can now formally request flexible working from their employers. So companies may create personalised schedules based on that sort of individual need or team dynamics. And we'll also see a greater emphasis on flexibility and autonomy. Many companies will focus on productivity rather than hours spent in the office. And I think that's a really refreshing way of looking at it, is productivity over sort of the hours that you're sat at your desk. But remote first tools and infrastructure will continue to evolve as well. A few years ago, we didn't have Slack and Teams the way that we have them now. So that will be ever evolving. And with companies investing in advanced tech for that kind of, virtual collaboration and even, productivity tracking, and there might even be VR spaces for team interactions. The workplace design will change as well, and offices will transform to better support that collaborative work environment. While your traditional desk layout, 6 desks here, bank desks, next one, it might become less common as remote working kind of moves to that standard option. We focus on, when we're in the office, having that real team collaboration.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for those insights. That's been fantastic today, and that sums up our work from home segment. Okay, so let's switch gears. Let's talk about something that has a lot of us concerned, the potential talent crisis that's looming over the UK. So the Office of National Statistics report a 4% decline in job ads for 2024 and 14.4% decrease from last year. So competition for roles has intensified, with job postings receiving an average of 140 applications. So Aalia, which industries are feeling this talent strain the most?
Several industries are already feeling the pressure, Liz. So the impact is significant for each. The healthcare sector is amongst the hardest hit, particularly the NHS and social care services. Demand for healthcare professionals is quite high, yet we're seeing burnout amongst existing staff and significant talent shortages in this area. This affects the care quality, the wait times, the overall healthcare system in general. Another area is tech and IT. The demand for cybersecurity experts and software developers and data analysts is outstripping supply. Companies are fiercely competing for talent, which can drive salaries, lead to delays in innovation, and businesses can't meet any of their deadlines. Engineering and manufacturing are also struggling. Infrastructure projects, green energy initiatives and the manufacturing sector needs skilled workers, but there's shortages amongst young people entering these fields. This leads to project delays, increased costs, and reliance on foreign talent. And finally, education and hospitality and also retail are facing shortages as well. Teacher shortages, especially in the STEM subjects, are resulting in larger classes. The education quality there becomes a concern. In hospitality and retail, Brexit and the pandemic saw many workers leave these sectors, creating a higher turnover and hiring challenges.
Those are some big challenges. So what factors do you think are driving this talent shortage as we head towards 2025?
There are several factors, one being the aging population. That's a big one. People are retiring. There are fewer younger individuals entering the workforce, especially in fields like healthcare. Brexit also affected these sectors. Relying on EU talent was a big part of the UK's economy as well, in areas such as hospitality, agriculture, and healthcare. So reduced immigration has a lasting impact on the workforce availability. Additionally, there's a skills match shortage, essentially. We have tech advancements creating demand for digital skills, but our current education system isn't keeping up. At the same time, traditional trades are suffering, as well as fewer younger people pursuing apprenticeships. And then finally, the post-pandemic work preference is another factor here. People are now prioritizing work-life balance. I believe Hannah spoke a bit about that earlier. So sectors requiring in-office work have seen employees shift away from these roles. The cost of living has also played a big part of this, with wages struggling to keep up with inflation. And areas like retail, hospitality, healthcare are making it harder to attract and retain the talent.
So with all of these contributing factors, do you think that we'll see the job market balance out in 2025?
While the market may adjust in some areas, full balance isn't likely to occur by 2025 without significant interventions. Automation and AI may help in fields like manufacturing and logistics by taking on repetitive tasks, but they won't fill the gaps in terms of areas like healthcare. Education and reskilling programs are revamping, but it takes time to train the next generation of tech or healthcare professionals. Hybrid work may also help by opening up broader talent pools, but also limits certain areas. And then finally, immigration reform could provide some relief by bringing in skilled workers. They're needed. But you never know what's going to happen in regards to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you, Aalia, for sharing these insights. It's definitely helpful to understand the pressing issues that we're currently facing and may face in 2025, so we can approach the new year knowledged and putting in some strategies in terms of what we're going to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, let's shift the focus to a subject that's generating a lot of buzz and some concerns, to the impact of AI on the job market. So with so many rapid advancements, what does this mean for employment across different fields? An interesting stat released by TeamViewer stated that while 74% of the UK execs believe AI will significantly boost productivity by automating tasks and streamlining workflows, only 10% of businesses have fully implemented generative AI, and 69% of top business leaders are making it a top priority for 2025. So Maddy, how has AI changed the landscape of employment across different industries so far?
Yeah, so as you said before, Liz, it's a very hot topic at the moment, and AI has really changed the job landscape. It's taking over repetitive tasks and streamlining workflows and bringing, I guess, more data-driven decisions into play across all different industries. In finance, for example, AI has been a really big game changer in areas like algorithmic trading, spotting fraud, and even powering customer service chatbots. So when you log on a website now, you can chat to a computer if there's just general questions that you need support with. In healthcare, it's helping with diagnostics, keeping an eye on patients as well, and using, I guess, predictive analytics to improve patient outcomes with illnesses that they may have. And then in retail, which is an area that Aalia also touched on before, AI has driven insights around kind of personalized marketing, inventory management, and kind of forecasting when busier times are going to be within their industry. And I guess like while the wave of AI has made things definitely more efficient, it's also pushing employers to learn new skills. So there is always the topic that AI is taking away jobs, but it's definitely not something that people just kind of pick up and understand what to do with AI. So it is allowing us to kind of learn new skills and work more closely with, I guess, AI systems and technology more generally.
Yeah. So has the growth in AI led to any noticeable job losses? And conversely, what new job opportunities have emerged as AI becomes more integrated into various industries?
Yeah, so I kind of touched on this, before with AI. Everyone keeps saying, it's going to take our jobs. So look, definitely jobs have been replaced, especially those that involve, more repetitive or routine tasks. But at the same time, AI has opened up so many new opportunities and huge areas for development as well. So there's big demand for roles like data scientists, machine learning engineers, and even AI ethics. So within legal, accounting, there's a whole new industry in terms of AI being brought in. And fields like cybersecurity, AI integration, digital marketing are also growing within these areas. And it's a good way, I guess, for us to learn and adapt with the AI systems. I guess the impact on job loss really does depend on industry. So manufacturing, for example, is somewhere that has seen bigger cuts due to automation, while areas like healthcare and IT are really growing. So, pros and cons, but it's definitely something that, we can adapt with. And if we're taking on it, in a positive approach, I think it's a really good thing for jobs more broadly.
Yeah, absolutely. And would you say that AI has created more job opportunities or taken more job opportunities away?
Yeah. I would say, I guess, the AI seems to be changing the types of jobs that are out there rather than cutting them down. So it's true that some skills, like I said before, in the manufacturing area where it's maybe a lower skill need or repetitive jobs have been automated, but AI has also created lots of roles that are going to be a lot more specialized. So like we said, within like IT and data especially. And as more companies bring in AI, generative AI, and how they're going to incorporate it into their business, we're really seeing a shift in how the requirements a mix, I guess, towards like the knowledge that they're bringing in for their team. So overall, I think it's a really positive impact on job creation. Yes, we are going to lose some jobs, but again, it's creating a lot more opportunities. So it's not just getting rid of jobs completely, it's still creating new roles. So it's all about us just adapting and upskilling, which is always important. No matter what you do for your role, you need to be changing with what's going on in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And what skills do you think are becoming more relevant to have today? And I guess which ones are increasingly obsolete as we approach 2025?
Yeah, so data literacy is obviously a really big one. I guess basic knowledge of computers, IT, and machine learning as well. Being comfortable with AI and having a general understanding of what it is, I think is great. Employees are definitely on the lookout for people who can work with AI systems, understand the data, and use digital platforms to put all of their kind of data-driven insights into practice. And at the same time, problem solving, critical thinking, and adaptability are some really important areas that will be a positive impact to AI. So on the flip side, I guess you could say it's skills related to routine tasks, so like admin, data entry, basic processing roles within industries that are going to require that will be a little bit more automated now. Long-term learning and commitment to upskilling within these areas is going to keep evolving.
Yeah, great. And what do you think will be, I guess, the most significant change in 2025 that AI will bring?
Yeah, so I guess by next year in a few months, or by 2025, we'll definitely see some more, I guess, augmented roles where people are working alongside AI, so working in conjunction with it within their day-to-day role. With AI, I guess, taking a really a strong care on data-heavy and repetitive work, employees will have a little bit more freedom to focus on strategic thinking, being a little bit more creative, and forward planning within their jobs. And then the shift towards, I guess, hybrid roles as well will mean like a higher demand on people who have both a technical skill set, like using AI tools and data analysis, and then soft skills like creativity and adaptability. Sorry. So it's going to really change, I guess, the way a lot of jobs are done. I think we're going to see a lot of growth within industries because those repetitive tasks have been taken away. We are really able to kind of forecast and, look forward to how a business can grow and use that critical thinking that maybe we don't get to use at times when we are just focused on more of the admin and like mundane tasks. I'd say too, it's pretty evident that AI is, fundamentally reshaping the employment landscape and how we do our jobs. It obviously comes up in many conversations across all different industries. But it's not just an automation of kind of job displacement. It's about creating a workforce where AI will work in conjunction with us. So like I said, it's going to help productivity, creativity, and problem solving. And I guess the challenge, I would say, for both employers and job seekers will be just embracing the kind of change, learning, and development, which is always something that has to take place. And AI is just that new thing now that's being introduced. So ultimately, it's going to be a pretty big kind of enhancement, I think, to the way that we do work. But there's a lot of potential for it. We need to focus on, I guess, efforts of making sure staff are comfortable with AI, they understand what it is around its ethical implications as well, and just building a workforce that's prepared to kind of leverage AI to help us really advance what we're doing day to day.
Yeah, it's definitely an exciting and ever-evolving topic. So thank you for shedding light on that. I think the shift towards augmented roles and the demand for technical and soft skills has really brought to light how AI is transforming the workforce. So I'm excited to see the positive things that it will bring for 2025 and beyond. Yeah. Thank you, Maddy.
My pleasure.
Okay, let's move on to a topic that's both a challenge and an opportunity for the UK, something that's being called the brain drain. So with skilled professionals leaving the country in record numbers, how is this affecting industries here at home? The Office for National Statistics released data showing the number of people leaving the UK has reached record levels this year, with 508,000 people having left the country in 2024 to date. So of these, 215,000 people were citizens seeking greener pastures. I know we have a lot of people in the UK that go over to Australia and vice versa. So I guess maybe Hannah, if you wanted to answer this one, what are the main driving factors as skilled workers? What's the factors? Why do they want to leave the UK and go abroad?
So I think economic uncertainty and high inflation are definitely pushing people to look for new opportunities in countries with more stable economies, lower living costs, and better wage growth. Many professionals are really increasingly drawn to the likes of the US, Canada, and even EU sort of nations with more favourable economic conditions.
Yeah, I might jump in there as well, as Brexit and the changes to immigration policies are a huge factor too. The end of the free movement with the EU means that many skilled EU workers are deterred from staying, while some who were already here may have left. And for those that are outside the EU, the UK's complex immigration system can also be quite off-putting for them.
Mm.
I would say as well, I guess high salaries, which both Ali and Hannah kind of touched on, and just all of the positive benefits, I guess, moving abroad are also pulling talent away, especially within tech, finance, and healthcare, for example. They're probably three of the biggest industries. Many tech professionals move into the US for better pay and career progression. Healthcare, a lot of Brits go over to Australia, so that's always a hot topic as well. And then the remote shift to work post-pandemic as well has given people just the freedom to realize that you can work remote, and that means that you can often work anywhere in the world, with the time zones being so well connected for certain countries as well. You don't physically need to be living in the UK to work for certain companies that are based in the UK as well.
That's right. Yeah, great point. So what about political and social factors?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think political instability is obviously very prominent at the moment, and social issues in the UK, such as inequalities and dissatisfaction with new policies, are also driving people to consider new options. Just to throw a question out there, I mean, how has the brain drain affected key industries in the UK over the last 3 years, do you think?
Yeah, great question, Hannah. I might jump in there. The tech sector has felt it intensely, with shortages in roles like software development, cybersecurity, and AI. Many skilled workers have migrated to tech hubs in the US and the EU, which has slowed innovation and driven up competition for talent here in the UK.
Yeah, and like I had mentioned before, just kind of briefly, healthcare is suffering. The NHS is a really big industry here in the UK, and it's seen a lot of health professionals leave for better pay conditions abroad, just because it's not something that they're able to get here in the UK, and resulting in a lot of staff shortages within hospitals as well. So it's a really big kind of complication for future recruitment here within the UK and within the health industry as well.
Yeah, and it's worth saying in the finance industry as well. London's global standing is at risk, with many professionals now working in New York, Frankfurt, Hong Kong, and that loss of expertise in the UK is really affecting its competitiveness.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're very stark realities. And what about education and creative industries?
Yes, research and academia have also taken a hit. Many researchers are moving to countries offering better funding and stability. And the creative sector, which is very close to my heart, is losing a lot of talent to cultural hubs like Paris, Los Angeles, and Berlin.
Yeah. Do you think that there's, any professionals have any buyer's remorse after leaving the UK?
There's definitely a good chance, especially after that you realise you can't make a good cup of tea anywhere. I think for some, moving abroad could bring challenges like cultural adjustment, loneliness, or higher living costs that actually wouldn't be offset by the benefits of the higher pay that they've gone to move for.
Yeah, very true, and especially if the work-life balance in the new location is more demanding than expected. Countries offering a higher pay salary like the US, they also have an intense work culture there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I guess another thing, obviously when you move country, and this is something, Liz, Aalia, and I can all speak to too, but when you do move to a new place, you definitely, you lose your network and that security you have within a job if you're working with a new company. So over time, that can kind of impact and really kind of weigh on your initial maybe decision or excitement to move to a new country as well. So it's definitely something that you have to put a lot of thought into.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you think this trend is going to continue in 2025, or could the local job market start offering more attractive opportunities?
It's likely the trend will persist unless there's big improvements in the UK economy and the job market.
Yeah, and I think especially with post-Brexit challenges, but if the government prioritises talent retention, perhaps by improving wages or industry growth initiatives, we might see some change in that perspective.
Yeah, and I think we all had this conversation as well the other day, but there's definitely a lot of potential growth for certain sectors. So energy, for instance, renewable tech, making the UK, if we bring these industries in, it's going to make the UK more of an attractive place for new skilled workers to come in and professionals. But that's obviously a long game. So it's something that definitely needs to be discussed, I think, in terms of, what jobs and what people the UK want to attract in for new talent.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely clear that the brain drain is a complex issue with deep impacts. I hope that the UK takes some actions to address it so we can retain or even attract more people into the country. Thank you, everyone, for these insights. Today, we've explored the rise of remote work, AI's impact on employment, and the talent exodus the UK is facing. AI is definitely redefining job roles, creating opportunities, and pushing us to embrace continuous learning. Meanwhile, the brain drain has impacted key sectors, and reversing this trend will require both policy changes and I think industry investment as well. So thank you all for joining our webinar. We encourage you to reflect on these trends and how they'll impact your career and organisation. That concludes the webinar today. Keep an eye out for some follow-up resources and join us for upcoming webinars as we continue to explore the future of work. Thank you.